Hello and welcome to the Pandaverse. I'm Elgon, the E in C&E,
And I'm the C, Christine, in the C and E.
and we've got a nice crew here today. We got Greyson Ferguson, we got
Hello.
DC Palter, and we got Tony Ollivier. So Greyson was telling me that he's in Peru right now.
Oh, wow.
DC's trapped in LA,
It's a horrible life here where it's only 70 today.
and Tony's in rainy Vancouver, and Christine is snowed in, and I'm in sunny Las Vegas where it's 61 degrees. Life stuff. So what's on the agenda today is we kind of got everybody together for an impromptu meeting about Medium and writing for Medium and promoting your stuff on Medium. And we figured that that topic would be of interest to all authors out there who want to build their platform and gain an audience, because Medium is a nice vehicle to post smaller, shorter stuff, articles and stories, and I guess poetry or anything else that you're into as an author, fiction or nonfiction, and gain some street cred as a writer while you're building up to launch your first novel or a new novel or whatever. And I was just mentioning that all three of these authors who happen to be signed with Panda Moon Publishing, which Christine and I are with right now, all three of their books kind of have some similar themes and similar ideas. Tony's next book is set in Japan, and DC's book has a lot of relevancy to Japan, and a lot of manga and stuff like that on it. And Greyson's kind of a world traveler, but his book is an interesting kind of semi-apocalyptic tale about humanity. It's called Humanity Devolved. It's a really good book. I read it a few weeks ago. I've read all these books, by the way. It's the best part of my job. I get to read the books before anybody else does.
Hard. Heck yeah.
So DC is probably the most prolific on posting on Medium, I think. I'm going to give him a run for the money though, because I just started posting on there. So I started posting chapters of a book that I've never published. So, but it's backstory for main character in one of my books. So DC, what's the secret?
Yes, sir.
What's the secret to gaining an audience on Medium?
So just to start with a little bit of background, Medium is a social media platform in some ways, but you could also just call it a blogging platform. So it's a great place to put up materials of all sorts. So I started off, I had my own blog. Actually, let me take a step back. In thinking about how to promote my novel, which is about startups, I spent a lot of my time with startups, and I thought, well, I spent a lot of time mentoring startups. Why don't I just start writing some articles to talk about the things that they need to know? So I did that. I put together a blog, and people who knew me or people I was talking to, it's a good place for me to point them to and say, here's my advice. But it's not like there was this huge inrush of people finding it from Google. So, if you have your own platform already, your own blog is great. Somebody said you should try Medium. So I copied the same articles, put them up on Medium, and I got about 10 readers that way. Like, okay, well, it's 10 readers I wouldn't have had otherwise. It doesn't cost anything. I think I made about 50 cents because Medium actually pays you for your articles. And I'm like, okay, well, why not? It's just getting out to a wider audience. And then a publication on Medium reached out to me and said, we love your article. Can we include it in our publication? I'm like, sure, why not? Next day, I had 3,000 readers.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my God, well, this is how this works, isn't it? So you can use it just as a blog, and instead of paying for your own blog, you can just put everything up on Medium. Some people find you, but if it's not about especially if it's fiction, people probably aren't going to find it by themselves. If it's about a particular topic like politics or how to lose weight or how to make money on Medium, then people might find it. But if you write for a specific audience on a topic like startups or about Japan, there are publications there that will include it in their pages, and then it goes out to their entire audience. And this publication that picked up mine, they have about 100,000 followers, of which all get an email every time there's a new article up there or a daily thing. They have huge platforms on Twitter. So in the same way that a publisher like Panda Moon can help an audience get out, a writer get out to a broader audience than we could if we self-published, Medium has these publications that also can help you as a writer find your audience and get your work out there. And so since that time, I've like, well, this is great. This is the way for me to build up my own platform, my own audience, and get ready for the book to come out, because once it comes out, then at the end of every article, which I'll get 2,000 or 3,000 readers for each one, I can say, hey, I'm the author of this great book that's exactly, in the topic that you're interested in. Why don't you go over to Panda Moon and buy a copy? That's the plan. So that's a kind of long-winded explanation. Sorry, everyone, but that's kind of been my journey on Medium so far, and it's I think it's been 100 times more effective than my attempts to build up readership or fans on Twitter, which has not gone very well at all.
Twitter used to be a decent platform for gaining attention about 10 years ago, but I think most of the people on Twitter right now are part of the political elite and in the news media that supports the political elite. And if you spend any time on Twitter, you realize that those are the people that are making most of the posts. As far as authors go, everybody's trying to sell their book on there. So you get lost in the noise.
Too much noise. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So my approach, and I'm really interested to hear Greyson's approach, and my approach has been on Medium to use it to write nonfiction, write articles, advice column, and build up a readership of people who will be interested in the novel, but I haven't published any fiction on there. I notice Greyson's been very successful publishing fiction on Medium, so I'd love to hear how he's been able to do that.
All right, well, yeah, I published a little bit of both. The majority of my material is kind of relationship centric, and I didn't exactly that wasn't my goal of I'm just going to write a bunch of relationship stuff and people will connect through that. When I first started with Medium, which was a couple years ago, I just kind of started, I'd write something and throw it up on the website, and like DC said, you get like 3 or 4 views and you're just like, okay, well, that's something. And then the publications is definitely a major thing. If that's one thing you want, is to connect with as many publications as you can, because there's always a little different audience and you can connect with different readers. And it just so happened, one particular thing I wrote, which was relationship based off of something I had gone through. It's one of those things, you publish it and you go to bed and you wake up, and one of them got like 250,000 views within a week.
Wow.
It's like, all right, well, I guess I'll write more about this because people seem interested in it. And so I'd write, a lot of it's focused on that. And with the fiction stuff, that's something I've kind of struggled a little bit with trying to find the exact audience with, because the people that will read the relationship stuff might not, oh, he wrote a little short story, I'll read that. And for that, the best thing I could do was just like search through Medium and find a short fiction or poetry publication where there's a dedicated audience for people that really want that. Because I feel like a lot of people that go to Medium aren't looking necessarily for fiction material. And so you really got to kind of cut through the weeds. And so my best for the fiction stuff was just finding something that matches with me for the publication base that already has an audience. Otherwise, even when I already had several thousand followers, I would get, 50 people reading the fiction stuff. So I knew I needed a different audience for that. And I don't know, the fiction still is a little tricky for me for the Medium stuff. And sometimes I'll just write it and I just don't care if anybody reads it and I just put it up and it's just like, you know what, somebody finds it, that's great. If not, I don't care. So I almost think sometimes having no, not assuming I'm going to get reads is fine. It's like I don't set myself up for failure with the fiction stuff if I don't think I just do it for fun. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of great advice for the fiction publishing.
Well, I think that was actually all great advice, because basically what you just said was post no matter what. Don't do it for the likes. Don't do it for, just do it because you love it, because it's fun. And just, you never know what you're going to wake up to. You have no idea. Just all it takes is one thing to grab its attention, and then boom, it's done.
Yeah. And
So I think
sometimes
it's great advice.
Sometimes something you'll write, you'll be like, this is so stupid. This is the dumbest thing I've ever written. No one's gonna read it. And that's always the one that people are like, yes, I like this. It's like, okay,
We see there's a lot of dumb, stupid people in the world, right?
And they all read the article. There's a million articles on Medium about how to make millions of dollars writing on Medium. That's the best way if you want to make money on Medium, because you get paid per read. Write an article about how to make $1 million writing on Medium. Greyson, just to be sure I understood you right, you're the one that got the huge amount of views in the beginning about relationships. That was nonfiction, right? That was
correct.
Yeah, so it kind of fits with what I'm seeing as well. You can put fiction up there, and there's a small group that'll read it, but it's really people looking for short articles are going to get the best play if what you're looking to do is build a following and get reads.
Yeah, that's my
deal.
Have you tried Medium, Tony? Have you been on it at all?
I have literally made dozens of dollars on Medium. Dozens. Well, maybe a dozen. I've been on Medium for because of the pandemic. I think there's sort of BP before pandemic, and then we're sort of during it. So I think I started about a year before, like 2018, I think. I had a writer friend that was writing on it and doing, again, nonfiction. It seems to be nonfiction is kind of the way to go. And I haven't. I'm just looking at both DC's and Greyson's followers. DC seems to be the top of the leaderboard for followers right now, but between the three of us, I've done a variety of stories. I've gotten more. I did an article about writing in coffee shops because when you could go into coffee shops, I'm starting to go back again. I found I did the best writing, so I did a whole thing about that. I did a sort of a Scrivener how-to about tracking pacing using Scrivener. That actually got a lot of attention. Then I did a few on just some personal stuff about me and my father. My father was bipolar and had some crazy things go on. This is sort of a long time ago. So I don't really have a rhyme or reason. I've considered putting some fiction pieces on there, but I think you're right. It seems to be more for the attention deficit generation, that they want something they can read quickly, and something interesting, and then they can sort of get on with their day. So I'm thinking about sort of restarting, and I'm thinking about sort of topics to restart, but I haven't written for a couple of months on Medium, but it's nice to chat with you guys about this.
I think you touched on an interesting point. Short is good for Medium.
Yeah.
In some ways, so Medium was created by people who were originally at Twitter, and in some ways it's Twitter without the character limit. But it still has the attention deficit that people will pick an article with, a lot of it is clickbait headlines, and they'll click on it and they'll skim through it. And then when Elgon put his story up there, and it tells you how long it is at the beginning, it said something like 17-minute read. I'm like, oh, no, you can't go over 5. You can't go over
It's
5.
too much of a
People aren't gonna
commitment.
Click on it. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like 5 is the sweet spot for length on Medium, and even then,
Yeah, what-
only half the people will get to the end.
One paragraph, Elgin, that's all you get.
What I have planned for Medium right now is, putting up like 5 things on there maybe, and just promoting them through other vehicles and trying to get people over there to read. But I've also linked everything to a Patreon account that I've set up, and the Patreon account is going to have clips from these shows. For example, I've got some of our shows already linked up there, but it also has links to the Medium stuff. And what you can do on Patreon is you can set everything that you post there either for public or for your patrons. So if you set up, let's say, the first 5 chapters of a novel in progress, which is basically where I'm heading with it, then you can post the rest of it behind the group, so that once people read the 5, maybe they'll be enticed to join as a patron. The other thing I'm thinking about doing is posting more like blog content on there in both places, and maybe setting that up on Patreon as being for public domain and gaining attention that way. So I'm experimenting with it because, I don't know what I'm doing with it. I'm just, the overall objective in terms of book marketing or marketing yourself as an author is just to gain an audience any way that you can. And, you've got to stand heads and shoulders above the noise and shout to get people's attention. And you do that any way that you can.
Some suggestions, Al, along the lines of blogging. One thing I started, or I'm about to start doing, because one of the assignments that we have at Panda Moon is helping to find other writers to blurb our books. And I thought, well, how am I going to get in front of people that get hundreds of emails a day saying, please blurb my book? Well, my plan is I'm going to interview them for one of my articles, if I can get them. I mean, Stephen King probably won't respond to that, but there are people who will.
You never know. You never know.
He could.
And so there are whole publications on Medium that are devoted to books and discussing books and book reviews. So I can do book reviews and I can do author interviews. And then I now have a personal connection with the author. It becomes a lot easier to say, hey, now it's your turn to do something nice for me. And if they don't like the book, they don't like the book. But at least you have a connection with them. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm posting my first one next week, and so I'm doing both book reviews and author interviews of books that are kind of in the same genre or somehow connected with me. But I'm kind of wondering if we could put together a Panda Moon publication on Medium.
Sure.
That's a great idea.
So a little bit of warning. It's a lot of work. And I know you guys are it's easy for me to give you more work to do.
We've made a venture toward doing a newsletter in the past, but it's kind of been an on again, off again thing. I mean, it's a great idea, but newsletters are kind of passé.
Yeah.
So doing something through Medium or doing a video, newsletter would be kind of interesting. I mean, I don't think anybody's really ventured down that path that much. I mean, I've seen things that kind of border on that concept a little bit.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's a great idea.
a lot of companies have moved their company blogs onto Medium,
Yep.
just because if you can talk about something in a general sense instead of, well, come buy my product, you get um, a lot more interest. And if we had a Panda Moon publication, we could put our fiction up there. We could put chapters from the books up there or excerpts from the books up there. But as Greyson said, not that many people are going to be looking for a fiction publication there. What I think would, and I'm just kind of strategizing out loud in public here, but I think what would grab a lot of people to read it and then see the rest, of what's from Panda Moon and book announcements and things like that is, especially go on Twitter, but the same on Medium. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of writers out there who want to be published, and they have questions. How long does a book need to be? What does it need to be for different for different things? What's the publication process? How long does it take? All these questions that you probably get all day, every day. You see them up on Twitter, where people are just like asking other authors what the answer is. Well, you guys are the publishers, right? You have the real answers, not third party. So imagine if you wrote an article every week or two that kind of answered those sorts of questions. You would have 100,000 followers that then you can put up announcements, you can put up job postings, you can, new word notices, things like that.
Yeah.
Happy to help with that because I've just started another publication about Japanese culture. So I know the process. It's
great.
And best of all, it doesn't cost anything. It's free. The writers actually get paid.
That's awesome.
Not much.
Yeah, well, technically, C and I aren't publishers, but we work in the marketing area in support of our publisher. Well, we kind of volunteered for it in a way,
like 10 years ago.
and then it just kind of grew from there. But we started off as authors with Panda Moon, and we still are. But we were sharing some of our marketing savvy because we've been in business with other authors along the way, and doing promotions on our platform. And our platforms we had pretty good platforms at the time, so that helped out a lot. Like I've got God knows how it happened, but I had 32,000 people on Twitter, and so I was almost Twitter famous at one point.
Is that a song?
But almost Twitter famous. It should be. But I think the idea of doing kind of a video newsletter is an interesting one. Maybe that's something that Christine and I can try out on this platform. We know a lot of people who do book reviews. Mostly they post them on Facebook on Facebook groups. But we also know some people who do new video interviews. We have Laura Kemp's one of our authors. She does an interview with Nola Nash. Wrote a couple of books with Panda Moon too. And then you have our friend Annie. Annie's kind of retired from it, but she has a lot of contacts. And she grew her contacts by doing book reviews and making contacts that way. So she got in connection with a lot of authors, and she knows a lot of authors who have large followings.
And she used to work for Elle magazine.
Yeah. So
Medium is strictly text. It's not it's not video. So the video would go on YouTube, but then you can do a write-up of things we learned from that, or you can, the interviews I like doing, because I don't have your skill to put together a video like this or edit it down, is I just send the author 10 questions, and they email back the answers, and I pick the 5 that are interesting, and then I got an article.
Yeah, so, I think that would be great to create a publication, because all the authors could just be creative all the time. It might be a great way to bring them all back together.
Right.
Yeah, one of our goals is to increase the networking structure that we have internally at Panda Moon, so that when you post something and you know, you can put a post up in social media that you'll have 15 or 16 people share it immediately because they're connected to you through the network. That would be the optimum way of doing it, and that way authors are helping one another. And then growing this beyond the Pandamoon community to include all of the independent authors that all of us know, you know, because once you tell somebody that you're an author, all of a sudden all the other authors are going to gravitate toward you. And that's how you build a foundation of authors. And maybe those people won't become, you know, famous or successful or anything, but they garner their own following, and sooner or later somebody's going to make a connection with somebody who's a bestseller. I mean, Christine and I know several people who are best-selling authors. You know, we don't know them real well, but we've made contact with those people through our networks, and that helps spread the word about things. You get a couple of those people to share your stuff, all of a sudden you've got, you know, where you had, you know, maybe 2 retweets, all of a sudden you've got 30 or 40 retweets just because of your connections. And that's what you have to build up to the point where you're getting 1,000 retweets. I like the idea.
So even without a Pandamoon publication, I've started doing these author interviews. So it's an open invitation to any Pandamoon author. And you know, Greyson, I've read your book already, so it'll be easy to throw you some questions and put that up there. And you know, when your book is ready to come out, happy to do that. So that's anyone at Pandamoon is part of the family, and would love to do that. And hopefully somebody does that for me when my book is out.
Yeah, you don't have to do video interviews. You can do
those. I'm not doing video interviews. It's just going to be some email questions.
You can do written interviews. You can do.
I'm a writer. I am a writer.
Written reviews.
I write. It's just
whatever method that you want. Whatever method
answers.
works for you. You know,
Yep.
Whatever you're comfortable doing. But anybody who does want to do video interviews, we'll have authors do a takeover of the C&E show. You know, we'll bring them on here. We'll introduce them. We'll do the platform. We'll do the editing. Yeah, anything else, you know, if you want a platform where you're doing a video interview, I think that would be an awesome idea. It'd be a lot of fun.
And for you, DC, don't worry, I'm going to set you up with all kinds of people to have like interview you for your book. Cool. I can't wait. I can't wait. You're going to have so much fun.
I am looking forward to it.
Does anybody else have any more advice on Medium or Patreon, or what they think, you know, works for them, or what they're going to start doing?
No, I'm just excited about you know, this impromptu plan of creating a Pandamoon publication that we just came up with, because there's lots of
well, now you know what it's like to attend one of our board meetings.
Yeah, every Tuesday.
Hey, yeah. So yeah, no, I'm interested because I think there's a lot of not structure, but there's a lot of guidance that we can provide people that are looking to get published. And my brother actually works for a company that sells self-publishing packages. So if you have a book and you want help to do it, he's in a company that does this. And during the last 2 years, because people's, you know, timing has changed with their work, whether they're not working, his business has gone crazy, right? So there's lots of people that are self-publishing. Doesn't mean they're good, but they're self-publishing, right? So to sort of rise above that and actually you know, get it through a, you know, real publisher, there's a lot of work you've got to do, both on, you know, probably 20% on the writing and the 80% of the promotion is probably the right ratio, right?
Yeah, the old 80-20 rule.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's I think there's some real, that's a real interesting idea to start to look at that and see if we can get some traction.
I think it's a great idea. I think we should start on that right away. So DC, whenever you're free, I'm ready to learn how to do this.
Okay. Next week. This week. I'll show you how to do it.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
not
hit-
difficult. It's not
Hit the
difficult at all.
ground running, man. It's like February 1st in a
Yeah.
couple of days. And
Listen, the only time I run is digitally. It's online. Okay. So let's go.
well, this has been interesting, guys. We've come up with an idea to pursue. That's a really good thing. And we're going to post this out to the public. So anybody that wants to join us in this venture or go off on a tangent of their own and invite us in, we're game. We're ready to do it because that old adage about rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah.
That's the way authors have to be. We're not really in competition with one another. We're, other than trying to gain attention from time to time, we can actually help one another and benefit, mutually from it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. This has been fun, and we'll have to get together again and brainstorm, and maybe we can solve all the world's problems.
Yeah.